Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Skyblock Survival Guide. I figure we've probably earned that title at this point. Thank you so much once again for the support on this series. We're going to keep it going, and today we are probably going to kick off by going to the Nether. We set up the Nether portal in the last episode, and yes, people were quick to point out that we could have done several things a little bit better, moving the lava source closer to the Nether portal so we didn't have it to travel down all of that length of wooden planks. We could also have set up the cobblestone generator slightly differently, and I think we will in fact implement that as a solution in today's episode so it takes up a little bit less space, but I think all in all we did all right. We could have used a flint and steel, but we saved on iron and just had the portal light itself with lava and wood in the end. And to start off this episode, I am going to go to the Nether, but the first thing I'm going to do is put away anything I don't need to take with me, which is basically everything at this point. I'm definitely going to put the bucket away in here because I don't want to lose the bucket potentially in the Nether if we end up going in there and something has generated weirdly or is just wrong, because there are certainly some things in this pack that are not always the most reliable, but I most of all don't know what to expect in this Skyblock world. I've been to the Nether in Skyblock once or twice before, but never in this version of the map, and things are always slightly different each time. So I'm going to head in to the Nether the first time I'm entering the Nether in this Skyblock pack. Let's see how things go. And there we go. Okay, we already have the sheep in here, so we're probably going to have to push him back through the portal. Now, in previous Skyblock maps that I have played, the portal is sometimes surrounded by a bunch of glowstone, since before the addition of witches, there was not really a way to generate glowstone infinitely. However, in this world, it does just seem to be a completely open Nether portal with a little bit of obsidian platform that you can walk out onto, but really, that is it. And a zombie pigman is, of course, waiting for us over here, as well as a cow, which I guess must have generated on the platform. Now, the Nether being a void world like this, of course, we don't have any lava down there. It is all just void, much like the Overworld, but out here somewhere in the distance, there should be a Nether fortress. And so the question is whether or not I feel safe updating my render distance a little bit to see if we can view the fortress from a little bit further away, or if we're just going to build out and explore in various different directions and see what we encounter. But the Nether is, of course, the source of a whole bunch of resources, including gold from zombie pigmen, blaze rods and blaze powder from blazes once we find those, and if we can track down a fortress, we might even be able to find some soul sand and nether warts, which both generate naturally as part of the structure of a fortress. For now, though, it's good to know that we have a decent amount of obsidian here that we can build out from, and I'm going to head back to the Overworld to grab myself some cobblestone that I can use to create a platform. Now, much like in the Overworld, it's going to be worth creating some cobblestone slabs to make sure that for a start we are creating spawn-proof platforms to walk around on in the Nether. We're probably going to need to light a few of them up as well, but of course in the Nether, unless you light stuff all over the place, zombie pigmen are going to be able to spawn pretty much anywhere there is a top half surface of a block, like a solid block or a slab on the top half of the block space. So we're going to be building a bunch of bottom half slabs so that we can get a little way out from the central portal, and from there we can start to create a spawning platform for zombie pigmen. It's not going to be quite as advanced as our Overworld gold farm, but it is going to allow zombie pigmen to spawn, and hopefully we will be able to use that to farm a little bit of gold in the near future. So I'm going to bring some cobblestone and some cobblestone slabs. I will also probably bring a trapdoor or two if I can spare the wood, which I'm pretty sure I can while I'm here. Let's create a few wood planks and let's get that built, because if we're using trapdoors to block off access for the zombie pigmen to the platform that we are standing on, that's going to make it a little bit easier to farm them. That should be all I will need for now. Let's hop back through the Nether portal and see if we can build out a little bit of a platform on the other side. I'm holding shift where I possibly can here, because I have a feeling that sheep might nudge me off into the void otherwise. But let's build this out a little bit further and see if a Nether portal, a Nether fortress rather, appears somewhere in the distance. I'm going to build a little bit of a platform around the outside of the Nether portal as well, just so we have a little bit more space to work with once we pop through this. Let's remove the full block there. Didn't quite want to create a full block just yet. And while the Nether portal will produce its own light, it's not going to be quite enough to light up the blocks on top of the portal, so we might want to slab those as well to make sure they aren't spawnable space, because the rest of these, of course, are going to be full blocks, so that's something we need to take into account. So we've created a platform all the way around the outside of the Nether portal here. I'm just going to hop up and slab the top of the portal. We could also use torches to light it up, and that would make it spawn-proof by zombie pigmen as well. Remember, any solid platform you make here in the Nether has the potential to spawn not only zombie pigmen, but if you create a large enough spawnable platform, it's also going to be able to spawn ghasts, which is another thing you probably don't want in the Nether. So I think it's going to be worth making sure that we only create platforms of a certain size, or make sure that they have a spawn-proof roof on them that is going to prevent ghasts from spawning. Because with all of these narrow bridges that we're going to be working with in the Nether, it's going to be a little bit dangerous to create anything like that. But even having built a platform like this all the way out here, we are sort of 24, 25 blocks away from the portal at this stage, I still cannot see a Nether fortress in this direction. It might be worth bridging out in multiple directions, or potentially just turning up the render distance now we have a little bit more space. So I'm going to set that up to, let's say, 32 chunks, the maximum we can do in vanilla Minecraft, and let's cast our eye around here. Luckily, my FPS is not going to take a huge hit from that, because we don't really have any terrain to render out here, but it really doesn't look like we are seeing a Nether fortress anywhere around here. Maybe if I walk back over to the portal, we might be able to see it over the other side. It's trying to render chunks in the distance, I can tell, just getting a little bit of a chuggy frame rate here and there, but it really doesn't look like there is a Nether fortress within view of this central portal. So we are really going to have to explore the Nether if we want to find one. At this point here, though, this is where I actually want to start building up an area that's going to be a zombie pigman farm for us, because we will want to build a nice large platform over here where we can spawn zombie pigmen and kill them nice and easily. What I think we're going to do is set up a very rudimentary mob farm kind of thing here, where the zombie pigmen can be lured over into this area from a spawning platform behind there. We'll just be able to swipe at them through this half slab space here so that the zombie pigmen babies won't be able to get us, and then we'll just build a roof over the top of it using bottom half slabs to make sure we don't end up with any ghasts spawning on this larger platform we're going to build. I think that should do. Obviously, the portal over there can also spawn zombie pigmen, so we might have to take a couple of precautions in the form of some trapdoors that we can open up there behind us to make sure that zombie pigmen cannot creep up behind us and get us. If we build a solid block there, they'll just be able to step over it, but in this case, with the trapdoors open like that, they should not be able to get past there, and that should allow us to farm whatever zombie pigmen are over here without the danger of anything creeping up on us from behind. So now, building at the full block level, we're going to build out a platform of slabs over here. We're not going to worry too much about the size or shape of this. It's just going to be a nice, solid, flat platform from which we can spawn a bunch of zombie pigmen. And using the wood that I brought with me, I might make a crafting table and craft some of these solid blocks into slabs as well. That way we can continue using slabs to make a roof for this thing. Now, much like in the overworld, of course, we are going to get amazing spawn rates if we can build this lower down in the world of the Nether, but of course, where we are right now, which is around Y70, we can't really get down any further into the Nether with the supplies we currently have. If we try and place a water stream in here in order to flow down like we did in the overworld, then the water is just going to evaporate, because the Nether doesn't allow you to place water in this environment, and so it's going to be a little bit trickier in order to get further down in the world. We want maybe some magma cream from either blaze powder and slime balls, or from a magma cube that we can use to brew up a potion of fire resistance, then use lava to traverse down to the bottom of the world. Alternatively, there are some other things we can do, maybe some slow falling potions, as long as we had the guarantee of being able to survive, or maybe just a bunch of materials that we didn't mind losing in the void and losing all of the levels and so forth. in the process. But yeah, there are a few different ways we can do that here in the Nether. It's going to be a bit of a tricky operation regardless, so I think the best thing to do for now is just to build the farm here and take advantage of the fact that there is no other spawnable space in the surrounding area. So either way, the rates for this farm are going to be pretty optimized for the height we are working with in the world. Okay, so this should now be a pretty decent sized platform. It should also be spawn safe, meaning that the roof up here is not going to allow anything to spawn on it. I'm going to take out this trapdoor so I can squeeze my way through this 1.5 block high gap, and then we'll be able to pop the trapdoors back on there and hopefully swipe at the zombie pigmen from below. Now all I should need to do is run back to the portal so that we have enough distance between us and the platform that some zombie pigmen should spawn, and in a second or two, yep, there we go, we're starting to see them spawn over there. Now I need to bring something from the overworld that's going to allow me to aggro the pigmen, so we will probably need to bring a bow or something like that, because we can't guarantee they will spawn close enough to these trapdoors that I'll be able to swipe at them with my sword. Once I can hit them, though, we should be able to get a pretty decent amount of gold out of them. Naturally, we don't have the resources for a collection mechanism or anything like that, and there are many other ways that we can make this a little bit easier for us to gather all of the drops, but for now, I think I'm happy with the amount of pigmen that are spawning on that platform. I'm going to hop back through to the overworld and get myself a bow that we got from the mob spawner. There we go, going to put some of these supplies back away in the chest here, and I've grabbed myself one of the bows that we've repaired from the skeletons who spawned in the mob spawner, plus a stack of arrows, because this doesn't have infinity or anything like that, and we want to be able to aggro the pigmen whenever we want. And we could always build the spawning platform here a little bit further away, so that when you're standing at the trapdoors, you're always going to have pigmen spawning over there in the distance. But from the looks of things, we have a pretty decent amount of pigmen spawning here already. In fact, I could probably just tap that one with my sword and they will all start to crowd around here, where I can attack them pretty easily, except this guy has managed to hop over there. Yeah, it looks like we will need a little bit of a border around this platform, just so that the pigmen don't end up falling off the side in their zeal to get to me. And a couple of reinforcement zombies are going to be spawning in there as well, because we haven't lit the platform to avoid them spawning. But from the looks of things, we do have a pretty decent amount of gold back there already, and now my sword is just broken. Hopefully we can get something else, and we can get an advancement at least. We got a gold nugget out of that guy. Hopefully we should get ourselves a couple of gold swords from this that we might end up being able to use, and the zombies back here are just going to be continuously picking them up. Excellent. That was not all that bad, and I can just briefly break these. We don't have to worry too much about the pigmen spawning while I'm over here, and looks like we managed to get a whole bunch of stuff there. I'm breaking with sweeping edge. Yeah, we got a decent amount of stuff. Enough gold nuggets to make a full gold ingot. That really wasn't bad for our first attempt. In fact, what I'm going to do is swap around the trapdoors and the slabs here, because that's still going to make sure that the baby zombie pigmen can't get to me, but it's also going to allow me to open the trapdoors in order to get in here and collect the drops more easily. That probably makes a little bit more sense when you think about it. So let's put the slabs over the top there. We should be able to walk up here and attack through this gap there, making sure that we can hit everything, but then these trapdoors are going to be something that we can open up whenever we want to get in here. Then we'll be able to leave again just by crouching underneath the slabs. That makes sense. Okay, let's go and get some more materials so that we can build a border on the platform. Okay, this version of the farm should be a little bit safer both for us and for the zombie pigmen, so they shouldn't walk into the void anymore, and we shouldn't get any baby zombies being able to bridge the gap there. Let's see if we can get them all mad at me now. That guy doesn't seem to be aggroing all of the others. Hello? Maybe they just don't have a good enough sightline to me. That's a concern. Let's see if we can do something about that. There we go. I got them mad at me. I think it was because I was crouching there for a second. Maybe their sightline couldn't see me behind the trapdoor. And wow, yeah, I'm currently being reminded of quite how bad gold tools are, because this sword really isn't doing very much, and it's breaking very, very quickly as well. The ideal would really be if we ended up picking up a sword that had looting on it or something like that. We could use that for special occasions maybe, but at least we can now hop in through there, and oh, maybe I can't get through this. This wasn't the best design after all. Yep, there we go. Definitely getting all of them mad at me. This time, let's use up the gold swords instead of the stone ones, because we might as well. They're going to give us more anyway. You know what? I've realized that it's probably going to make a little bit more sense to use fence gates instead of trapdoors for that central section, just in terms of player access being a thing. Babies aren't going to be able to hop over the fence gates either, so it's going to be a little bit more worthwhile than using the trapdoors. We're not trying to lure them into any kind of fall situation, so that really does make a little bit more sense. And while these pigmen are not angry at me, I'm just going to replace this trapdoor with a fence gate and try and do the same here without hitting the feet of that pigman in front of me. There we go, that should be a little bit safer for everyone, and can they see me? Yes, they still can. Okay, very good. Should just be able to crouch and walk through the fence gates whenever I want to now. Okay, very good. That's a decent haul of gold nuggets. We have ourselves 16 more, which should be enough to make another gold ingot with a few nuggets left over. Let's farm enough that we can get a full 8 gold ingots, because that is going to be crucial to our long-term strategy here in Skyblock. Well, folks, with that last round, it looks like we should have enough gold nuggets. And the number I'm looking for is 72, because that's going to be 8 gold ingots total. But we also have 2 gold ingots that I already picked up here, and a bunch of gold swords, which you will remember can actually be smelted into individual gold nuggets if need be. Obviously, that's going to take a little bit of fuel, but we could always burn some wood or something like that. We have a decent supply of that now, and we should be able to melt all of those down into the nuggets we need. And you might be wondering why exactly we are after this amount of gold, and you're probably also wondering why I haven't done better to make sure I don't get nudged off the platform by that sheep, so I'll probably place a few more blocks over here to widen that out a little bit. But the main reason we're looking for this amount of gold is in order to make golden apples, because that is one of the ingredients we need in order to cure a villager. Now, if we get a zombie villager in the world, we can cure it using the same method we normally do, using a splash potion of weakness and a golden apple. And of course, that's going to rely on us spawning a zombie villager somewhere in the world, either in the mob spawner or in a platform up here, and that's going to take a little bit of doing. Of course, it's going to be relying on the fact that a zombie villager can be spawned. We can deal with any other threats around the outside, isolate that villager, and hopefully give it a block so it doesn't despawn, and make sure we have the stuff on it in order to cure it. But then, once we have a couple of zombie villagers cured that way, we can start breeding villagers, and suddenly the entire world is open to us, because through villager trades, we can get stuff like diamond armor and diamond tools. We can start acquiring emeralds if we can, say, grow some sugarcane over here to get paper. If we trade that with a librarian, of course, we end up getting a whole bunch of stuff to get us going. And there are plenty of cows spawning down there on the spawning platform for passive mobs, which means getting a couple of bookshelves together, putting a lectern together is really not going to be all that difficult. The difficulty lies in getting things like, I don't know, armorers to spawn when you need a blast furnace for one of those, and a blast furnace requires 5 iron in order to build it. The crafting recipe for it is relatively expensive for this Skyblock world. But of course, once we have a few villagers together, we could also start thinking about setting up an iron farm so that we can farm iron more permanently through iron golems. So that becomes a little bit more of an easy task once we have some villagers. Villagers really are the gateway to doing anything advanced in Skyblock, and getting hold of them is a tricky business. But now we have the gold farm set up, basically. We have 8 gold ingots, we have plenty of swords we can smelt down as well. We are an additional step of the way there. You'll also notice that in the advancements here, we have a couple of new things. The portal has been activated. We got ourselves the portal advancement, and so after curing a zombie villager, there are a whole bunch of additional challenges, including get a stack of emerald blocks, which is going to be one heck of a challenge, let me tell you. But there are, of course, plenty of other things we can do here, including the fact that the cartographer villager is going to be able to trade us maps that will lead us to the Woodland Mansion and the Ocean Monument, which are hidden further afield in this map than the eye can currently see, even with a 16-chunk render distance. I wonder if this Nether tab is also going to reveal some of its secrets, because we have ourselves a little bit of gold. There is an end portal in the fortress, so that's a clue to the progression of this map that I was actually told about by a subscriber, and there are obviously going to be a few other things we can do in the fortress, including getting blaze rods. We can potentially spawn ghasts out there in the Nether to get the return to sender advancement. We can get a wither skeleton skull, and then of course summoning and defeating the wither is going to be one of those things that we can potentially do a little bit later. There are some fun things to do from Minecraft in this advancement pack, but there are also some things which are unique to Skyblock. In this case, collecting quartz from blazes is one of the things that is hinted at in the advancements tab here. Blazes dropping quartz is a way of having having renewable quartz without the landscape of the Nether generating normally. So much like gravel with zombies, it's a way of accessing that material that would be inaccessible otherwise, and is going to make our journey through Skyblock a little bit easier. But with all of these gold swords smelted down into nuggets, we can create at least one more gold ingot. I believe I stashed some other nuggets in one of these chests. Yep, there we go. We got a few of those with us as well. So we now have, oh, I just converted all of those back into nuggets. We have 10 gold ingots, 7 spare gold nuggets. We could even melt down some of the armor that we got from the mob spawner in here as well if we wanted to turn that last little piece into a gold ingot. So 11 gold ingots total would be our sum, and I think we'll probably stash those in the chest here for the time being and wait until we have ourselves a little bit more progress on the potions front before we think about trying to track down and cure a zombie villager. So tempting as it is to go off in the Nether in search of a Nether fortress, we kind of have unfinished business here in the overworld, and that's really something that I want to kick off now. I want to reach out to the rest of these islands that are in a circle around our central island here and see what the deal is, because we've already been out to the swamp island that just seems to have another oak tree, some vines if we want to farm some vines, extra water sources, and that kind of thing. But over there, behind the cobblestone generator right now, we have a jungle tree that's very exciting. We have a spruce tree over there, and spruce is my absolute favorite type of wood in Minecraft, so I definitely want to encounter that. And over there in the distance, we have an island which I believe has mycelium and mushrooms on it, and that's going to be very important for the procedure of getting a zombie villager cured, because you need a brown mushroom for a fermented spider eye, which is one of the ingredients required for a potion of weakness. So I think what we're going to do for the rest of this episode, rather than go ahead and explore the Nether in this episode, we're going to explore the remainder of the overworld, crack out a few more cobblestone slabs, and bridge out into the directions we have not yet bridged. We've only gone out in one direction really so far, and I think it's probably time to head for the other islands. There are also 4 other islands on each of the corners of this area. I think there is a dark oak tree and some of the other, I think a birch tree is out there somewhere. There are a few other islands, one that's got acacia somewhere over there, I think, and we'll definitely need to explore each of those in turn. But I think we're going to start down here, reaching out towards the mycelium island, and I think this is probably going to prepare me pretty well for all of the tentative bridging we're going to have to do in the Nether. I'm going to have to keep half an eye on the sky as the sun moves around, because I can't really see it when I'm facing downwards into the void here, but I really don't want to get caught out by it turning nighttime, and I also want to make sure that I don't end up with stuff spawning out in any of these islands while I'm bridging over to them and then getting surprised by a creeper and knocked into the void or something like that. I don't have anything super valuable on me, but this is a lot of material to lose. I also want to check the biome as we are traveling out here, because the biome has the capacity to change as we travel through the map. I'm not sure if they have set up custom biome placement here, or if they've just gone with a random seed that would generate biomes in whatever position, but I have a feeling that when we get out towards that mycelium island, that might actually be in the vicinity of a mushroom biome, and I kind of want to see what other biomes are out there on the way. Not least because if we find a desert, in much the same way that zombies drop gravel, husks will actually drop sand, and sand can be smelted into glass combined with various other things to make concrete. There's a whole lot of applications for sand, so it would be really great to set up a mob spawner of another kind somewhere where we have access to husks and that kind of stuff. If we can also find an ocean biome where we could spawn the drowned, or a river biome, likewise, that would certainly save me having to go through the trouble of drowning zombies that spawn naturally in this mob spawner, which would overcomplicate the design a little bit, I feel like. Although, maybe once we get some other passive mobs spawned in, if we can get some wolves spawned in a tiger biome, maybe over there where that spruce tree is, might be a tiger biome, then potentially we can start to look into making a mob sorter to attach to our mob spawner. Over there now, I can actually see that there is a desert island over there with a cactus on it, and cactus is something we didn't have in our central island, so if we want to get green dye, that is going to be essential. We are approaching the mushroom island now, and just a few more slabs should get us there. Okay, looks like we have reached our mycelium destination. Let's see if we can make ourselves a little staircase, get us up here onto the island, making sure to use those bottom half slabs once again. And the mushrooms are plentiful over here, which is great news. I'm actually going to grab the mushrooms from the center here and leave the rest here to spread, just in case for whatever reason we end up losing these mushrooms here. We will probably want to make sure we have a permanent mycelium-based mushroom farm out here, and they should naturally start to spread around here, although they do check in different directions to make sure that there aren't other mushrooms growing. So maybe we'll need to whittle down the number of mushrooms here if we want them to continue spreading. However, with a bunch of these taken back to that central island there, we should be able to have a go at creating a bit of a mushroom farm. And in the near future, I would love to make these walkways out of something that is not just flat cobblestone, something that looks a little bit prettier at least, but for now, it'll do. And it's nice to head over there and collect a few of these resources. I'm going to put the mushrooms in this chest for now, but brown mushrooms are definitely going to be necessary for the zombie villager curing process, so it's great to have a hold of those now. Next up, I really want to prioritize the spruce island over here. I think spruce wood is going to be my building material of choice if we can get that on the go. So let's create another slab platform out here. That looks like we're about lined up with the spruce island, and let's see if we can platform our way over there. Now, I am slightly curious about this here spruce island because there is a pumpkin on there, and while we do have pumpkin seeds given to us in the chest at the start of this Skyblock adventure, I have a feeling there might be something different about this pumpkin if we can get over to it. Night is starting to fall, but hopefully we should be able to make our way up here. In the meantime, let's see if we can hop up here, and I wonder if this pumpkin has a face carved into it. Does it? No, okay, it is a pumpkin on all four sides. Well, that's a bit of a shame, because I was wondering if this island with the snow being here was going to be a setup for a snow farm, which would be nice and easy, a good way of getting snowballs that you could potentially use as projectiles to harm blazes. I was wondering if the map was going to give you a carved pumpkin for free, but it looks like they're not. Oh well, I'm going to break a bunch of the leaves on this spruce tree and hope, fingers crossed, that we end up with a spruce sapling dropping, because I want to be able to reproduce this spruce tree where possible. And I'll be honest with you, it's not looking great so far. I've removed a bunch of the leaves and we haven't had a spruce sapling drop at all. So that would kind of be terrible if, for whatever reason, this tree did not give us a sapling. I am crossing my fingers right now. We got some sticks. That is absolutely not what we want. We are so close to killing all of the leaves on this tree. Yes. Oh, thank goodness we got ourselves a spruce sapling. That's so good. Okay, right, I can rest a little bit easier now, and hopefully we'll get another spruce sapling from these leaves up here. Nope, sadly we did not, but thankfully we got the one spruce sapling we needed. Very, very good. Okay, I'll take down the rest of this spruce wood. We're going to try and keep this island a little bit safe while we can. I'll probably put a little bit of a platform over the top here. I don't want to take out any of the snow in the meantime, though, and I kind of don't want to remove any of the blocks of the island quite yet, but I think I'll probably just build a little platform over the top here to make sure that stuff does not spawn while we are out here. There we go, little roof over the top of this thing at the half slab height, making sure that we don't end up with stuff spawning, because I don't want to melt the snow using a light source, so I would much rather make sure that we can have a little bit of spawn-proof security out here. And also, yes, this is a taiga biome according to the coordinates, or according to the biome data that you got there on the bottom there. I wonder where the taiga biome actually ends. Let's see if we walk over in this direction. Yeah, we get a plains biome. So this is actually a taiga biome right where the location of the island starts. And if we were to, in theory, create a little bit of terrain around here, we'd be getting taiga grass color and so forth. That is very, very interesting. All right, well, I need to make sure that I sleep in a bed somewhat frequently. We're above sea level here, but you can tell when the void actually shows some stars that we are at the right sort of height, so I need to make sure phantoms aren't going to swoop down and kill me any second. I am not the rage quitting kind of person, but if a phantom knocked me off this platform right now and I had the spruce sapling on me when I died, I have a feeling I might not be too happy. So let's make it to the bed, and yes, we have made it to the platform. Great stuff. We're going to be expanding the tree farm once we've gathered all of these saplings to include saplings of each kind, and making sure that we don't overlap the leaves so we get the maximum yield from each sapling is definitely going to be worthwhile. For now, though, I think I'll put this in the security chest over here with my other oak sapling, and I really wish we had gotten more than one sapling from that island, but oh well, I think we'll have to deal with that. This sure uses up a lot of slabs, though. I'm going to have to create a few more of those. That should do for our trip out towards the jungle island, and we can take a look at what else is out there. After I've grabbed myself a little bit more food, anyway. And maybe I'll consider putting the spruce wood away in the chest and crafting myself an axe so that I can take down that tree over there a little bit more easily. We're going to have to expand the platform around that jungle island, though, because goodness knows we are going to need every jungle sapling we can get. I believe jungle trees are the only trees with leaves that have a lower sapling drop rate, simply because the giant jungle trees will actually create an awful lot of leaves, and you might end up with an overabundance of saplings. Otherwise, they have reduced the drop rate for those saplings, meaning that if you want to grow a 2x2 tree, then you have to get a hold of quite a few saplings. With some of the other trees, in particular dark oak, I find it almost feels like it has a lower sapling drop rate, but that's because a 2x2 sapling square is required in order to grow a dark oak tree. The drop rate is actually quite similar to the other trees like oak and birch and that kind of thing. It just feels like you need to invest a bunch of saplings before you get any saplings back. And speaking of dark oak, now that I'm most of the way towards this jungle island, I can see where the dark oak island is out there in the void as well, and the acacia island is out there. I managed to see that when we were on our way over to the mushroom island. So this is going to be kind of a neat way of branching out and connecting all of these islands, as long as, like I said, we can find a prettier way to do that than just these basic cobblestone slabs. And believe it or not, jungle wood is not the only thing we have come to this island in search of. We have cocoa beans growing on jungle wood, which is, of course, how they grow in the natural vanilla default state of the game, but it's also going to be the player's only source of brown dye, which is not necessarily a huge deal unless you want to complete the challenges in the advancement pages. They are going to require you to craft brown concrete, brown wool, and I think brown terracotta as well. I think that is one of the requirements on the advancements, so it's kind of nice to have this as a source of brown dye. They've given us plenty of cocoa beans to get started, but of course we can start farming those once we have easy access to jungle wood. Right now I'm just expanding out the sides of the platform a little bit just so we can meet the size of the canopy of this jungle tree, because the crown of the tree there is looking mighty big, and I'm a little bit worried that if we end up with a few saplings dropping over the edge, we could be losing one of our only chances of getting a decent supply of jungle saplings. You can grow a single jungle sapling, but these 2x2 trees are a really great source of wood, so it's always nice to have that as well. Just for extra security, I'm going to make my way up to the top of the tree, going to balance up here on top of this cocoa bean. They're surprisingly hardy platforms, it turns out, and let's try and take this tree down from the top down, making sure that we don't end up falling into the void in the process, but hopefully by breaking these leaves manually, we'll be able to get hold of any jungle saplings that might otherwise start falling down if we just broke all the logs around them. I don't know why I'm breaking this tree down with my fists, because I brought an axe with me for this very purpose. Okay, let's see if we can get up here to the canopy and start swinging some fists. Oh, looks like we have one jungle sapling already. That's a lot faster than the spruce tree gave us a sapling. That is very good news. And it looks like some of these leaves are starting to disappear a little bit because I've started breaking the adjacent blocks and they actually don't have logs close enough, but we have 2 jungle saplings so far. 2 small trees should hopefully be enough. If we don't get any more saplings out of this, or if we maybe lose 1 or 2 to the void, it should be possible to get ourselves a few extra jungle saplings from some smaller trees. 4 would certainly be ideal though, so I'm going to keep breaking these leaves from a slightly safer position, see if we can end up dropping a couple more saplings out of these, but that should just land on the platform below. There's one, and yep, looks like we saved that one. Good stuff. I'm always glad to see that. And that's another one which we can hopefully just hop down and grab from here. Perfect. We have 4 jungle tree saplings. Oh, I'm happy about that. That's very, very good. In fact, I'm so happy about that I'm not going to risk any more leaf breaking for the moment. I'm going to run back to my main island, get these stored in a chest along with the cocoa beans and the jungle wood. We can end up farming the cocoa beans naturally, and hopefully we won't have to worry too much about jungle wood from now on. 4 jungle saplings going in the chest, lovely stuff, and I think I'll add the cocoa beans to my little farming chest here. By the way, you may have noticed that a few leads popped up in this, plus a little bit of leather. Yes, I did end up meeting a wandering trader. I've been live streaming from this world occasionally, just doing the grind work in between episodes, getting materials and farming wood and that kind of stuff, and a wandering trader did appear over here. And yeah, he ended up getting killed pretty quickly. It's a savage thing to do, and I know a lot of people tend to do this in their vanilla survival worlds. Much as I disparage the Wandering Trader, and I feel like his trades aren't all that useful in regular default Minecraft in my built-up world like the survival guide, it's actually really good to have the Wandering Trader in Skyblock, and I wouldn't have killed him except the only thing he accepts as payment is emeralds, and I don't have access to those right now. Once we get some villagers in the world, though, the Wandering Trader is going to be worth keeping around, so we're going to keep an eye on him, and in the meantime, it's nice to have a few leads, thanks to those llamas he brings with him, so that we can lead the cows around if we want to move them off of that passive mob spawning platform. That poor jungle tree is looking a little bit sad. I'm going to go and put it out of its misery. I'm going to see if we can get any more jungle saplings from over there, and we might even be able to replant a jungle tree there just for the sake of posterity, so that we can have jungle tree being farmed in 2 places and preserve the look of this island, because I don't plan on being out here for any longer than necessary, really. But it's also going to be worth taking down the rest of this wood and checking that, yes, we can confirm that this is a jungle biome. I presume, much like the spruce biome, the tiger biome, out in the opposite direction, it starts a few blocks away from the island itself and may even continue a little bit further. We will see, but that means if we build a grass platform around here, we could potentially spawn some ocelots. Not that that's required anymore, and they won't even tame into cats in the way that they used to in previous versions of the game, but once we start a village, we'll probably get cats spawning anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Instead, I am a little bit more interested in the types of flora that we will find in these biomes. That also means that if we ended up going over to the swamp over there, the swamp island, that can potentially be a source of blue orchids that we could use for light blue dye. And anything that ends up growing on these specific biomes only will be accessible to us. That's very good news. And in the end, it looks like my luck ran out and we did not get any more jungle saplings out of that, but we got plenty more cocoa beans that we can take back and start to grow over there. And we got 58 jungle logs as well. That's really, really good going. I'm going to leave the grass to regrow over here. I'm going to put down a couple of torches just to make sure this place is mob spawn safe for the time being. And let's head back over to our central island. There we go, safe and sound with 58 jungle logs to put in the chest. That's really good going. We have ourselves a little bit of fresh new wood to spruce the place up a bit, no pun intended. And I think the last thing I'm going to do with this episode is something that people were recommending, something I mentioned at the top of the episode, of course, which is to revamp this cobblestone generator setup a little bit using a handy tip from more recent versions of Minecraft, specifically the fact that you can now waterlog slabs and stairs. So I'm going to take out this block here. I need to be very careful that I don't end up angering the lava source in here for too long, but if I end up placing a stair there and waterlogging it, that is actually going to allow us to have a water source in this space that is not going to flow anywhere. It's not going to interact with the lava source up there. It's not going to disturb the functionality of our cobblestone generator, but will allow us to completely get rid of this long stretch of cobblestone that I laid out to the side of the cobblestone generator here. You don't need that 8-block long trench at all if you have a stair facing away from the central area where you want the cobblestone to be generated. And just to prove this works, I'm going to pop all of the rest of these materials in here. I'm going to put the cocoa beans away in the farming chest as well. Should have done that already. And let's grab the buckets so we can move the water source and waterlog that set of stairs we just placed. Going to scoop up that water source, place it in here like so, and of course we will need something to block this off, so let's just chip off the side of this cobblestone generator and place that there. The water is now contained within that block inside the stairs, but now if I go ahead and break this, if I go ahead and break my pickaxe, let's see if I have enough material to make another one of those. Of course I do. There you go. You will see it's a set of stairs waterlogged, and that is the only glimpse we're going to get of it, but that proves basically that this whole setup works very, very well. Thank you to everyone who suggested that. It has kind of slipped my mind that waterlogged stairs are that useful because I've not really had the need to use them before. I don't don't use cobblestone generators all that much, but that is a very useful and much needed innovation for saving a little bit of space here in Skyblock. Recommended. Give it a try. I know this is the Skyblock Survival Guide and everything, but it really does show that my last time playing Skyblock was several versions ago, and hopefully we can lend some of our newfound 1.15 and earlier knowledge to some of the innovations here in Skyblock. But that is going to be it for this episode of the Skyblock Survival Guide. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.